Francis Ngannou's managed to set up another huge boxing match against Anthony Joshua, but some pros believe that Francis isn't really a boxer. Lennox Lewis really doesn't think that this fight is anything more than a spectacle, but he still congratulated Francis for being able to set this up. Lennox stated, "Ngannou's fight with Tyson Fury was a spectacle. This fight with AJ is also a spectacle. Hats off to Ngannou for making the most of his opportunities. He's done nothing wrong. This is just the heavyweight division in the year 2024. In my opinion, this fight adds zero credibility to AJ's resume. He's supposed to win this fight, and when he does, what does he gain or learn by beating Ngannou in his second heavyweight fight? If he loses, then it's an absolute disaster. The same stood for Fury, and it almost cost him everything." Eddie Hearn thinks that Lennox will change his tune a little bit after Anthony comes away with the win and sets up bigger fights. Eddie stated, "Listen in to yesterday. The winner fights the winner of Fury vs. Usyk for undisputed, and when AJ joins your club, I know you will be delighted for him." Of course, Dana White isn't a huge fan of the fight, and he also thinks that it's ridiculous.
This is a fight for him that I'm assuming would probably, if you lose, I don't know, maybe you see the window closing.
Value is about being in massive fights that people care about. Fights that when you make a fight and you announce it, there's this buzz about the fight and everybody's going crazy. All these people are morons and have no idea what they're talking about. I actually run the biggest combat sports business on planet Earth.
I don't want to talk about the fight. Neither guy is my guy. There's just no need for me to comment on it or whatever.
Anthony Joshua sent a warning to Francis about what he's done to other boxers' careers. Anthony stated, "I think people underestimate me. They think they can just put pressure on me because I'm not mentally all that. As much as there is hype around Ngannou, he still has to come through me. I am a power puncher myself. I break people's eye sockets. I broke Otto Wallen's nose and eye socket. Robert Helenius got sparked out, and I ruined Dillian White's career with an uppercut. The list goes on. He has to deal with me, and that is what's going to make it a good fight." This doesn't mean that Francis doesn't have any supporters, though, as Frank Warren definitely sees him having a chance to end things early with Anthony. Frank stated, "For AJ going into the fight, at least he's seen him now in the boxing ring. He's seen how he performs in a boxing ring against probably the best heavyweight in the world in Tyson, so he knows what to expect. What'll be interesting to see is what Ngannou has learned from the first fight he had as a heavyweight. Obviously, anyone who's now fighting him will be looking to see what they feel will be the chinks in his armor, what they can exploit. Can he get better at the age he is? It'll be very interesting to see what tactics AJ uses in the fight. He's a big puncher himself. Is he going to go and just try to take him out? I don't know. I think he's going to try and break him down. Can he do that? All of it is quite interesting, and he's a switch hitter as well. He can turn into a southpaw." Dan Raphael thinks that Anthony has a big advantage, having seen Francis fight in one fight beforehand, and he thinks AJ will be more than prepared to fight him.
Approach it differently. Well, I think this is the benefit in AJ going second. There isn't the surprise factor around Ngannou. Of course, you have to expect him to have made improvements, but the big surprise was how he was going to look the first time. AJ knows that now. The other thing as well, AJ's not going to show up halfway through a training camp, not fully prepared. He's going to give Ngannou all the respect he deserves. So I expect a very supremely conditioned Anthony Joshua that's quite cautious. He's going to be working behind his lead hand, and he's going to be keeping that rear hand super tight to his chin. And I don't think he's going to step outside of himself too much until he really feels like he's got a good read on Ngannou.
According to Dewey Cooper, Francis may be getting help from Mike Tyson once again, and he stated, "Whatever way Francis wants Mike Tyson to be involved, he will be. I love Mike. We go way back before any of this Francis Ngannou UFC stuff was happening anyway. So I hope he will come through like he did last time and keep implementing his mentality and technique. I'm sure he will, but either way, Ngannou is going to be prepared and ready to go against Anthony Joshua." Dewey Cooper also broke down what the difference is between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, and he sees Anthony as being a much more even fight. Dewey stated, "He's a very good fighter, fundamentally sound, strong, big athletic, good footwork when he wants to. He's going to be a real challenge because the Tyson Fury fight was about skill. It was about being cerebral because Tyson has so many different styles. He fights in 3-4 different styles. This fight is a mano, fire versus fire. The Tyson Fury fight was water versus fire. Tyson was water. He can drown you. He can splash on you. He can crash on you. He can just wear you down. All these different things. Joshua brings the same tools that Francis brings. Of course, Joshua's pedigree is very high. He's an Olympic gold medalist for crying out loud. It looks as though Derek James won't be a part of Anthony's training team this time around, and Katie explains that Anthony is sticking to the script that has already been working. He stated, "I don't believe he will. We've had such a quick turnaround off the success of the last one against Otto Wallen. We're not going to change anything. We're just going to roll straight back into training camp. I feel like Derek is an experienced trainer, and he's not new to the sport. He understands how the situation is, so there won't be any ill feelings towards anyone. The show has to go on. Yeah, it's boxing, it's sport, so I don't think you have to take things personally. I think that with every aspect, whether it's a fighter leaving a coach or doing his camp somewhere else, you kind of always have to do what's best for yourself." Barry Jones definitely thinks that Francis is going to have a much harder night against Anthony Joshua than he did against Tyson Fury.
Well, on paper it is, because you know where he's going to be. With Fury, you're not quite sure where he is. But I think he's going to find it harder. This is going to sound crazy because Joshua's going to be in front of you, more or less. But I think he's going to find it harder to hit the target than he did against Fury. With Fury being his erratic style, which is what makes him so good, but also gives you an opportunity to hit him at times. And when he's on form, when he's sharp, he invites you to hit him. Although the Fury used to be more negative before he started pushing forward. He invites you to hit him, makes you miss, makes you pay. But he got it wrong. He was doing that, and with Ngannou just kept throwing. Most boxers, when they throw and they miss, they don't throw another one. Ngannou just carried on, and I think that's what gave him the success against Fury. With Joshua, he's going to have someone in front of him, but someone who keeps his hands up high, keeps his elbows tucked in tight. So he's going to have someone there, but he's not going to see a massive clear target. He's going to have to punch through the guard. And that might just make him a little bit more tentative, trying to get him more accurate with the punches, which is what you should do. But when you have to think more, which he might adapt to it quite well, but I'm just saying, when you have to think more, that can sometimes slow you down. That's what Joshua's had that problem recently with overthinking stuff and taking away his acceleration of pacing his punches. So if he can, I think it's going to be a harder night for him. Most definitely, I do.
Fraser Clark definitely sees Anthony Joshua coming away as the winner, and he stated, "The good thing is about that one with Ngannou and Fury, we've already had a look at him now. Before, Fury was like the tester. He had to get in there when he wasn't quite sure, and neither were we about what he was going to get. I think Joshua can beat him and can beat him well." Carl Froch thinks that this is just a big cash grab for both fighters after the success of Francis versus Tyson Fury.
Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou, who would have thought? I mean, my initial thoughts are it's not a bad fight. It's a fight that Anthony Joshua could potentially struggle with. We saw him against Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury struggled. But was that because Ngannou's really good, or was that because Fury didn't quite turn up? He wasn't at the races. I think the latter. So now this fight's going to be acceptable because Ngannou did so well against Fury. But let's be honest, this is a cash grab out in Saudi Arabia, and I don't think it's good for heavyweight boxing.
Simon Jordan thinks that this is all just a big spectacle though, and he's not a fan of the fight. Simon stated, "I have the same disdain for the fight. I understand the genesis for it. I understand the reasons why. This is what Saudi Arabia wants. If Saudi's going to be the new financial capital of boxing, then this is what it looks like. They think that MMA fighters that have had one fight and have been ridiculously ranked as number 10 in the WBC rankings is now a viable way for boxing to generate interest. I think it's sad. I understand why Anthony Joshua is taking the fight. I understand why Tyson Fury took the fight, because the economics are so significant that you take these fights. As for Johnny Nelson, he sees this fight as a rather easy one for Anthony to win. Johnny stated, "I think AJ gets the job done easy. Everybody knows what to expect from Ngannou. The same happened with Andy Ruiz and his fast hands. At first, First, you saw a little fat Mexican. Nobody respected him. Then you see what he did to AJ. It's like, damn, how active has Ruiz been since those 2 fights with AJ? He's in the Who Needs Him club. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.